I was at the park, enjoying a beautiful summer day with my 2-year-old daughter Lily. We were having a great time on the swings and the slide when we were suddenly approached by a woman with a look of entitlement written all over her face. "Can you please get off the swing? My son wants to use it," the woman said, without even a hint of politeness. I was taken aback by her audacity. Sorry, we're not done yet. We'll be off in a minute." "Well, my son wants to use it now, so you need to get off." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "I'm sorry, but we're not done yet. You'll have to wait your turn like everyone else," I said firmly. "Fine, but make it quick," she said before stomping off. I rolled my eyes and continued playing with Lily, but I couldn't shake off the feeling of irritation. Who did this woman think she was, trying to bully us out of the swing? As we moved on to the slide, I noticed the woman eyeing us from a distance. I tried to ignore her, but she was making me feel uneasy. After a few minutes, she approached us again, this time with her son in tow. "Excuse me, but my son wants to use the slide now," she said, pointing at Lily. I looked at her, incredulous. "Are you serious? We're in a public park, lady. You can't just demand that we leave so your son can have a turn." "But my son has been waiting for a long time, and he's getting impatient." "Well, that's not my problem. We're here to have fun, just like everyone else. If your son can't wait his turn, maybe he shouldn't be playing in a public park." The woman looked like she was about to say something else, but I cut her off. "Look, I'm not going to argue with you. We're not leaving, so you can either wait your turn or find another activity to do with your son." With that, I picked up Lily and walked away. I couldn't believe how entitled some people could be, thinking they were more important than anyone else in a public space. All right, here we go. Brace yourself, because this story is a wild ride. My name is Lily, and I'm a 22-year-old college student. I'm just trying to live my life and get my degree without any drama. But, of course, life never goes according to plan. It all started one afternoon when I was sitting in a coffee shop, minding my own business and studying for an upcoming exam. That's when I heard a loud commotion coming from the other side of the shop. I glanced up to see a woman, probably in her late 30s, storming in with her 2 kids, a boy and a girl who looked around 8 and 10 years old. I could tell right away that this woman was trouble. The woman walked up to the counter and started demanding that the barista give her a free latte. When the barista refused, the woman started yelling and causing a scene. I rolled my eyes and went back to studying, figuring that the woman would eventually give up and leave. But, of course, I was wrong. The woman spotted me and marched over, dragging her 2 kids with her. "Excuse me, miss, do you have a spare charger I can use?" I raised an eyebrow. "No, sorry, I don't." "Well, that's just great," the woman huffed. "My phone is about to die, and I need to make an important call. You know what? Give me your charger." I couldn't believe the nerve of this woman. No, I don't think so." "Excuse me, how dare you refuse me? My kids need to make a call to their father, and you're just sitting here studying. You're obviously not using your phone, so give me your damn charger." I sighed and decided to stand my ground. "I'm sorry, but I don't owe you anything. You can't just demand things from strangers like that, and why are you so rude?" The woman's response was to huff and puff and stomp away, dragging her kids behind her. But that wasn't the end of it. As I was packing up my stuff to leave, the woman came back over and stood in front of me. "You know what? You're a terrible person. You should be ashamed of yourself for not helping a mother in need." I couldn't believe this lady's nerve. "Excuse me, you're the one who's being entitled and rude." The woman scoffed. "Entitled? How dare you? You're the one who thinks she's better than everyone else. You know what? I'm going to talk to your manager and get you fired." I just shook my head and walked away, not wanting to deal with this crazy lady anymore. But as I was leaving the shop, I could hear the woman screaming and yelling at the poor barista, demanding to speak to the manager. I decided that I needed to do something to help. I called the coffee shop's corporate office and explained the situation to them. They assured me that they would handle it, and I left feeling satisfied that I had done something to make things right. A few days later, I received a call from the coffee shop's manager. She thanked me for calling corporate and explained that the woman had been banned from the shop. Apparently, she had a history of causing trouble at other locations as well. I was relieved that the situation had been resolved, but also frustrated that there are people out there who think they're entitled to everything. I vowed to always stand up for myself and others in the face of entitlement. In the end, the entitled mother got what she deserved, a ban from the coffee shop. But I couldn't help but wonder what kind of person she was to act like that in the first place. It made me grateful for my own upbringing and the values my parents had instilled in me. Growing up, my parents taught me the importance of hard work, kindness, and respect for others. They worked long hours to provide for our family, but always made time for us and taught us to appreciate what we had. They never once acted entitled or demanded things from others. I carried those values with me into my own life, and I hoped to pass them on to my own children one day. But for now, I was content with just being a decent human being and standing up for what's right. As I walked away from the coffee shop, I couldn't help but chuckle to myself. The entitled mother had gotten her comeuppance, and I had learned a valuable lesson about standing up for myself and others. It was a small victory, but one that I would always remember. It all started when my best friend, Caroline, and I decided to go shopping at the mall. We were both 25-year-old women and were excited to spend the day together. As we walked through the mall, we couldn't help but notice a woman who seemed to be causing a scene everywhere she went. She was middle-aged with short, spiky blonde hair and a designer handbag that she clutched tightly in her hands. She seemed to be barking orders at anyone who came within earshot. "Excuse me, can you move out of my way?" she snapped at a young couple who were walking in front of her. Carolyn and I exchanged a look, both of us annoyed by her entitled behavior. We decided to avoid her and continue our shopping, but fate had other plans. As we entered a boutique, we saw her again. She was standing at the front of the store holding up a dress and demanding to speak to the manager. "I don't care if it's the last one in stock. I demand a discount. This dress has a small tear in it," she said, pointing to a barely visible thread. The sales associate, a kind-looking man named Tom, tried to reason with her. "Ma'am, I'm sorry, but we can't give you a discount on a dress that's already on sale." "That's unacceptable," she screeched. "I demand to speak to someone higher up, someone who can actually make a decision." Carolyn and I exchanged another look, both of us feeling sorry for poor Tom. As we were about to leave the store, the woman turned her sights on us. "Excuse me," she said, blocking our path. "I need your opinion. Do you think this dress is worth full price, even with the tear?" Carolyn and I exchanged a look, both of us trying not to roll our eyes. Sorry, we don't work here," I said. "I don't care if you work here or not. You're shoppers, and your opinion matters. Now tell me, is this dress worth full price or not?" I sighed, already feeling irritated. "Honestly, I don't know. It's up to personal preference." "Well, I think it's worth full price," the woman huffed, "and I demand that this store gives me a discount for the inconvenience of having to deal with a torn dress." Carolyn and I tried to back away, but the woman kept blocking our path. "Excuse me, we need to leave," Carolyn said, trying to sound firm. The woman didn't budge. "Not until I get what I want. You two seem like smart girls. Why don't you come work for me instead? I could use some fresh talent." Carolyn and I exchanged another look, both of us surprised by her sudden job offer. What do you do?" I asked, out of curiosity. "I'm the CEO of a fashion company," she replied, puffing out her chest. "We're always looking for new talent. What do you say? Are you interested in a career in fashion?" Carolyn and I looked at each other, unsure of what to make of the situation. On the one hand, it was a tempting offer. Who wouldn't want to work in the fashion industry? On the other hand, this woman seemed like a nightmare to work for. "I don't think that's something we're interested in. Thank you," Caroline said, trying to sound polite. The woman scowled. "Suit yourselves. You're missing out on a great opportunity. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a dress to purchase." With that, she stormed off, leaving Carolyn and I feeling relieved. As we left the store, we couldn't help but wonder what kind of boss she would be. "Do you think she was serious?" I asked, half jokingly. Carolyn shrugged. "Who knows? But even if she was, I wouldn't want to work for someone like that. Life's too short to deal with entitled people all day. I nodded in agreement, grateful for Caroline's level-headedness. As we continued our shopping trip, we couldn't help but chuckle at the absurdity of the situation. It was just another day at the mall, full of unexpected encounters and bizarre experiences. It was a beautiful day in the park, and I was enjoying my morning jog. As I was running, I noticed a group of teenagers gathered around a bench. As I approached, I saw a girl, about 16 years old, arguing with an older woman. The girl was holding a small dog, and the woman was yelling at her. "What are you doing here with that mutt? This is not a place for dogs," the woman said, her voice laced with entitlement. The girl tried to explain that she was just passing through and didn't know the park's rules, but the woman wouldn't listen. She kept berating the girl, calling her names and threatening to call the park rangers. I felt sorry for the girl and decided to intervene. "Excuse me, ma'am, but I think you're overreacting. The girl didn't mean any harm, and the dog is harmless." The woman turned to me with a scowl. "Who asked you? Mind your own business." I could feel my blood boil at her words. Who did she think she was, talking to me like that? I took a deep breath and tried to stay calm. "I'm sorry, but I can't just stand by and watch you bully a young girl like this. Please, let's all calm down and talk this out." The woman was livid, and I could see her hands balling up into fists. "Who are you to tell me how to behave? This is a public park, and I have every right to voice my opinion. If you don't like it, tough luck," she spat. I took a step back, wary of her sudden aggression. "Ma'am, please, calm down. I'm just trying to help." But the woman wasn't having it. She tries to slap me, and her fists were flying. I dodged her attack quickly. "Stop it. You're making things worse," I said, struggling to keep her at bay. The girl with the dog looked on in horror, unsure of what to do. "Hey, leave him alone," she shouted, trying to pull the woman away. The woman turned her attention to the girl, snarling. "You and your stupid dog! This is all your fault," she yelled, making a grab for the dog. I stepped in front of her, blocking her path. "Leave the dog alone. He's not doing anything wrong," I said, trying to reason with her. But reason was the last thing on her mind. She pushed me aside and lunged at the dog, who barked and snapped at her in defense. The woman screamed and tried to run away, but the dog was too quick for her. He chased her around the bench, barking and nipping at her heels, while the girl and I watched in amazement. "Well, that's one way to teach her a lesson," I said with a chuckle, watching as the woman stumbled and fell, trying to escape the dog's wrath. The girl looked relieved and grateful. "Thank you for helping me," she said, hugging her dog close. "No problem," I said, smiling. "Just remember to read the park rules next time." We walked away, leaving the woman to fend for herself. As we jogged along the path, the girl and I chatted about dogs and parks and life in general. It was nice to connect with someone new and share a moment of kindness in an otherwise hectic world. I had just finished a long day of running errands and was excited to finally relax at my favorite cafe. As I walked through the door, I noticed a woman in a designer suit tapping her foot impatiently at the front of the line. "Excuse me, can you hurry up?" she said, glaring at the barista. I rolled my eyes and stepped in front of her. "Sorry, ma'am. Didn't mean to keep you waiting," I said with a sarcastic tone. The woman huffed and turned to the person behind her. "Can you believe the nerve of some people?" she said loud enough for me to hear. I smirked as I ordered my coffee and settled into a cozy corner. I could hear the woman on her phone complaining to someone about the slow service and rude customers. I couldn't help but wonder what could make someone so entitled it. As I sipped my coffee, I heard a commotion near the front of the cafe. The woman in the designer suit was now arguing with the barista about her order. "I ordered a venti caramel macchiato, not a grande," she yelled. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I can remake it for you," the barista said calmly. The woman scoffed. "I don't have time for this. Just give me a refund." I rolled my eyes and shook my head, but the woman caught my eye and walked over to me. "Excuse me, but do you mind if I sit here?" she said with a fake smile. I gestured for her to take a seat, not wanting to start a scene. She sat down and pulled out her laptop, typing away furiously. As I finished my coffee, I couldn't help but feel annoyed by the woman's entitled attitude. But then something strange happened. Her laptop started making strange noises and then suddenly shut down. "What the hell?" she exclaimed, slamming the laptop shut. "Looks like you're having some technical difficulties," I said with a grin. The woman glared at me, but then her phone rang. She answered it and listened for a moment before hanging up with a scowl. "Well, I have to go," she said, packing up her things. I smiled as she stormed out of the cafe, knowing that karma had finally caught up with her entitled attitude. As I left the cafe, I couldn't help but laugh at the ridiculousness of it all. Who knew that a simple trip to the cafe could turn into such a hilarious encounter with an entitled person